Okay, great. So again, thank you for hopping on this morning. Wanted to provide an opportunity to give a little bit more information about the Reentry Workforce Development Demonstration Program. And if any of you have a better name that is shorter and not so much of a mouthful, that will absolutely get you extra points on an application. That's not true. Sorry, I need to clarify that. But suggestions are asked for and supported. So this is our third funding opportunity for our FY22 resources. And so these dollars will be coming from the FY22 line item, and we'll be going into a little bit more detail about how we're going to be able to stretch that across into the next fiscal year. But did just want to make sure that people are aware of that element first. So just a quick brief overview of what this program is, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. So the Reentry Workforce Development Demonstration Program is an initiative of the Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development, Secretary Rosalind Acosta, in support of Governor Baker's effort to improve workforce outcomes among individuals returning to their communities after incarceration. This program is administered by Commonwealth Corporation on behalf of the Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development. It's funded through a General Appropriation Act line item 7003050. In addition to that, this year, we are also leveraging funds from the Workforce Competitive Trust Fund, WCTF. The Massachusetts legislature established the WCTF with two goals in mind: to improve the competitive stature of Massachusetts businesses by improving the skills of current and future workers, and to improve the access to well-paying jobs and long-term career success for all Massachusetts residents, especially those who experience structural, social, and educational barriers to employment success. So these funds invest in demand-driven programs designed by industry sector partnerships that train and place underemployed and unemployed workers. By leveraging these WCTF resources this year, the Reentry Workforce Development Demonstration Program can ensure the longer grant period necessary to and required to serve returning citizens with quality programming. And so that's something that's based on feedback that we've gotten from prior grantees in the past, kind of with the understanding that we know this population needs a much longer on-ramp to stabilize and provide the right kind of support to get folks ready to enter into the workforce. We wanted to make sure that we're providing that additional time for programs to do what they do best and set our clients and returning citizens up for the greatest opportunity for success. And so before we hop into the rest, I want to turn it over to Teresa Rowland, Vice President at Commonwealth Corporation, just to talk about an additional resource that is available within our communities.
Thanks, Zach, and good morning, everybody. And thank you so much for your interest in this program. We're really pleased to be able to have reconfigured the design to allow for a longer period of time, given the feedback we've received from all of you and what we know is the important timeline for providing these services and helping to achieve placement outcomes for this population. Just as a context, as I'm sure you all know, there is a lot of resources right now for workforce development. If you look at some Recovery Act money through ARPA, as well as some state resources in the FY22 budget, the Workforce Skills Cabinet, which encompasses labor, housing and economic development, and the education secretariats, are working with a package of resources of about $240 million to fill business vacancies and provide services to job seekers to get the training and support they need to return to the workforce or to elevate their stature in terms of more self-sustaining occupation. So there's a variety of resources. This is one grant program. There's a variety of other grant programs that you probably have heard the acronyms, which are also equally don't roll off the tongue, as Zach mentioned, for this program. So there's a lot of dollars going out for training and placement, but there's a bunch of other resources for capacity. We realize that we are dumping resources into a workforce system that is used to expanding and minimizing depending on the amount of resources that are available, and that we're right now pouring a lot of resources. And one of the things I wanted just to talk with you all about is this role of a market maker in your region. And so we also hear from businesses that they are struggling to find employees, and they're trying lots of variety of traditional methods and even some non-traditional methods. But in some cases, the only way that they're going to find the employees is if they partner with a training provider or a community-based organization or their mass hire to design a pipeline of workers. So, make it up, right? They have, entry-level manufacturing position they're having a hard time filling. And the only way to help fill that is really, they're going to have to go out and partner and develop their own pipeline. They don't really know how to do that. These acronyms sound even more foreign to them than it does to us who work in this world. So we designed this idea of a market maker in each of the 7 WEO or regions within the state, who a business can pick up the phone and call their market maker and say, hey, I'm having a hard time filling this type of position. Can you help me figure out what resources are available for me? And the market maker works really closely with their other business service roles within their community to make sure that depending on what strategy might be appropriate, they can refer that person. So I just wanted to flag the market makers because I think for you all, if you are working on a proposal and maybe you have one employer partner and you're looking for more, the market maker could be a good resource for you in your community to let them know that you're working on this application, what that target occupation is, general parameters, and just ask them, do you have any other employers that have reached out to you that are also looking for folks in this occupation that you think might be a good partner for us that you could connect us with? So if you're working on an application and that's something that would be of interest to you, please reach out to us via the official channels of Q&A. We'd be happy to put you in touch with your market maker just to see if there's any other employers in your region who might align with your proposal and might want to be a partner. And now I'll turn it back over to Zach.
Thank you, Teresa. Appreciate that. So we'll go ahead and get into the final details of the program here. And again, as questions arise or as folks have anything, please feel free to interrupt or put them in the chat. So in line with the RFP that was released, so eligible lead applicants for this program are the following, and they would apply as a lead applicant on behalf of a partnership. And so those eligible folks are community-based organizations, particularly those with a track record of serving returning citizens, nonprofit education, training, or other service providers, the Mass Hire Workforce Board, a Mass Hire Career Center, or the House of Corrections or Department of Correction facility. So any of those folks can apply as a lead applicant on behalf of the partnership. In terms of that partnership, the partnership requirements are you need to have a minimum of 2 businesses that operate in Massachusetts and employ Massachusetts residents in your chosen target occupation. A training provider with a demonstrated expertise in providing occupational skills training integrated with work readiness and soft skills development and placing individuals into your set target occupation. A community-based social service provider with a demonstrated expertise in engaging and supporting returning citizens in succeeding in transitioning to the community and employment as evidenced by a proven track record of practicing culturally competent care in the community. In the House of Corrections or Department of Corrections facility in your region. We also have a list of recommended partnership members. And so we recommend that partnerships also engage their regional Mass Hire Workforce Board and or Career Center, and also your regional probation or parole offices. Neither of those 2 are required partnership members, but they are recommended. When we're talking about our targeted service population, applicants funded under this grant will serve individuals who come from the following populations. These are individuals in a Department of Correction facility who will be released within 60 days of a program start date, or individuals who have been released no earlier than 6 months prior to enrolling in a program, or a combination of both. And then similar for individuals in a House of Corrections facility who will be released within 60 days of a program start date, or individuals who are released no earlier than 6 months prior to enrolling in a program, or a combination of both. And again, this is the idea behind this is to really focus on engaging folks that are in that transition process back out in the early stages of their transition back into the community, or folks that are just about to come home and wanting to make sure that we're engaging them and connecting them to training and workforce development opportunities. In terms of the target occupations, so applicants must provide training and placement services that prepare individuals to meet a regional business skill need and workforce readiness requirements for in-demand occupations. So we're using a sector-based approach for this program. So applicants may either propose to train individuals for an occupation in a single industry sector or for an occupation that exists in multiple industry sectors. In either case, applicants should identify a specific occupation to be targeted and design a training program that prepares individuals for that specific occupation. We recognize there are many occupations with identical required skill sets and credentials for entry. So applicants may propose to train individuals for multiple target occupations if the required skills and credentials are identical and can be attained through participation in the same training program. Continuing with that, applicants must identify a target region and inform information about an unmet demand for workers for that target occupation. This information must come from regional employers and must include current and projected vacancies and any projected increase in demand for said target occupation and skills, as well as credentials required for entry to demonstrate that the occupation is of critical importance to employers in your region and that there's a need for the development and training of placement programs. There's a growing body of research also that demonstrates that job seekers benefit from starting at higher wage and participating in programs that provide information and coaching on career continuums beyond a first entry-level job. And I want to highlight this. This is incredibly important to this program specifically. We are absolutely not looking for a first stabilization job as an outcome for this role. We want to engage you all as program experts and training experts to really be able to set our folks up for the most growth opportunity and most level of success as they are placed, and ensure that we're placing them into areas and occupations that have career track and career growth opportunities. So while we haven't set a wage floor for the proposed occupations, applicants will be required to provide evidence that the programs will place participants into jobs which the combination of wages, employer-supported benefits, and upward mobility pathways are likely to support the goal of increased earned income and economic stability. Such evidence can include the proposed target occupation has attainable opportunity for career advancement and wage progression within a reasonable time frame. The employer partners invest in supporting entry-level employees' career advancement, or the employer partners provide sufficient benefits to support a transition from public benefits reception and preparing for career advancement. In terms of the resources available and expectations of the program, so for this phase of the FY22 award, we have approximately 1.9 million is available for this grant program. We anticipate awarding a maximum amount of $160,000 grants to 12 partnerships to engage in program design and implementation. Successful partnerships will have approximately 14 months to deliver their program. Each partnership's program design must include a set of services that are necessary for their proposed target population to enter and maintain employment, and we're defining that as retained for at least 30 days by the end of your program. Each training program proposal will be evaluated based on a cost per placement outcome as well, which includes the number of and underemployed and participants who get an unsubsidized job or wage gain measured at 30 days retention. As a benchmark, we've established a maximum investment target of $15,000 per employment outcome on average. Applicants should be thoughtful about how they propose this in order to maximize those public dollars. And this amount includes all expenses required to obtain an employment outcome, including recruitment, training, support, program design, and program management. This amount does not include leverage resources and funds contributed as match, which we'll talk about in one moment. And just to also call out here that while we're identifying a target as $15,000 per outcome, we also know that there's a significant amount of case management and support that's required to work with this population in the best way possible. And so while this is our anticipated benchmark, and this is much higher than other similar workforce development programs, this is something that we are able to discuss a little bit. And if there's a justifiable need to exceed that 15,000 per placement, that's definitely something that we're open to discussing, but we're hoping that this slightly higher amount than other programs will be useful for folks. In terms of continuing this conversation, grant awards will support organizations that propose a set of services to enroll returning citizens in occupational skills training programs that result in job placement. These successful applicants will propose enrollment and training schedule that allows for at least that 30-day retention and placements by August 31st of 2023, with anticipated continued employment past the end of the grant period. So while we are looking for that 30-day retention, as we talked about just briefly earlier, we are looking for that to be a continued growth opportunity job, and not just a short-term placement for the sake of this grant program. We want partnerships to provide clear evidence of commitment to relevant roles and responsibilities from partnership members, provide intensive trauma-informed supportive case management, and maintain case notes for each participant. Case management services must include connecting the other service providers, reporting partners such as probation or parole officers, and mental health providers and clinical support. We want folks to be able to provide post-release cohort-based occupational skills training and placement programs that address employers' workforce needs, prepare your participants for success in those target occupations, and optimize opportunities for participant learning, career development, and will result in participants' placement in the target occupations. So we also want to ensure that folks are developing and implementing recruitment, assessment, and selection processes that are racially and culturally reflective of the institution's population and/or the population released into the community. Applicants may propose to begin this process pre-release with the goal of selecting and preparing individuals for immediate enrollment in the proposed post-release occupational skills training programs. Recruitment, assessment, and selection process must ensure that individuals selected to participate in the program are willing and able to work and have the program as a resource to prepare them for work in the target occupations. Individuals are also aware of the target occupation, job descriptions, duties, physical requirements, schedule, and work environment prior to applying to the program, and that individuals have the prerequisite skills necessary to succeed in the program prior to enrolling in the program. So just wanted to pause here for a brief moment. This has always been a historical challenge in terms of recruitment and identifying individuals to participate in your programs. So I strongly urge folks to be thoughtful about this process as you're developing your applications, knowing that there are many barriers to recruitment, specifically right now with this population, the most pressing being the impacts that COVID is still having on access to clients that are still behind the wall in a house of corrections or Department of Corrections, but then additional understanding what your target occupation is and making sure that your proposed and anticipated clients are also aware of that. So we don't want to be setting potential clients up for job opportunities that, due to a wide range of barriers ranging anywhere from electronic monitoring, if folks are still on some level of community supervision, to stay away orders, to curfews, to lack of certain credentials, that we don't want to be setting folks up for failure by having them invest their time and effort through a very robust and significant training program, only to find out that due to other barriers that we knew about prior, they're unable to either seek or obtain employment at your targeted employer partners. So to kind of keep those things in mind as you're navigating that process. And then finally, if your proposed strategy includes a behind the wall component, applicants should engage and identify key personnel within your HOC or DOC facility to create proposed client cohort flow through services provided there. This should include, but is not limited to, the way that folks are moving through the building, schedules, availability of textbooks, transportation, etc. And then finally, also wanting to make sure that folks are identifying or assigning a job developer who is responsible for that active outreach and engagement to the employer partners mentioned in the partnership section to identify and secure those unsubsidized placements within those occupations for participants by the end of the grant period. One thing that is new this year, because we are leveraging the WCTF funds in terms of being able to turn this into a program that can exist across fiscal years, those funds do come with a match requirement. So just to highlight this, that awardees will be required to provide a 30% match of the total awarded funds. Match contributions may be cash or in kind and can include staff time to support the program, support services, rent and associated operating costs not charged to the grant, and other expenses related to program implementation. And so this is a new element to this program this year that will is kind of what will allow us to have this program stretch across fiscal years. And so please feel free to ask questions either here or in writing around if you have additional questions about what can count as your match requirement. But again, this is a new element to the program that we're adding in for this funding cycle. And so can the match be required as financial aid for the students that participate in the program? Yes, so that would be a prime example of something that could be leveraged as a match requirement. In terms of the overall goals and outcomes, so again, as we talked about, we're looking to ensure that we have programs that support training and placement of returning citizens. Again, as we discussed earlier, the folks should either be released within, are going to be released within 60 days of a program start date, or this says 9, it should say 6 months, sorry about that, in 6 months prior to enrolling. Again, this kind of falls in line with ComCore's general thoughts around the workforce and our approach to workforce development, and that we're investing in the future workforce, we're developing an immediate pipeline for workers, and we're training and upskilling our current workforce through this body of work. Just to provide a quick
we have a question.
Oh, yep. Can funded partners costs not taken from this funding count towards match? Absolutely, yes. In terms of the grant duration and timeline, so the RFP was released on March 23rd. Right now we're at the bidders webinar on March 30th. The deadline to submit written questions will be April 14th. All answers to those questions will be posted on our website no later than the 18th. And applications are due on the 29th. We're anticipating notifying applicants of your status within 30 days of the initial deadline, which is April 29th. And then our earliest anticipated contract start date is June of 2022 for this new round of funding. And those contracts will run through August 31st of 2023. So this will, again, we're utilizing a combination of FY22 resources and WCTF resources that will allow us to stretch this funding across fiscal years for a 14-month program. One piece to highlight is that for folks that have received this funding in the past, and for new folks, the first 2 months of this program implementation is traditionally more focused on program design, or if folks are returning grantees that have already implemented, an opportunity to innovate or hone in and make adjustments to your existing model. So the first 2 months traditionally, usually, so in this context, June and July will be spent with more focus on program design and enhancement, and then switching into full-blown implementation. And I have a question around this presentation. Are we able to receive this PowerPoint? Yes, so this will be posted, this recording will be posted on our website, as well as the PowerPoint presentation for folks to access. Okay, so I want to stop there and open it up for additional questions, so I can stop talking at you for a while. We'll pause there. Will any questions be answered prior to April 18th if submitted early? Yes, so we'll be posting answers every Friday. We'll be updating our website with those. So as people are asking questions, we'll have those on a rolling document that'll be posted to our website every Friday. Any other questions? Okay, so just in terms of next steps, so all questions kind of from here on out do need to be submitted in writing. So if I don't answer your phone call when you leave a message asking a reentry program and I send you an email saying, thanks for your interest, please submit that in writing. I'm not being sassy. That's just how it has to be. So, but just wanted to remind folks of that. So you can please feel free to send an email to me at zrich@comcorp.org. Or if you're in contact with Stacy as well, you feel free to email her as well, and she'll send those along to me, and we'll get those response back to you, as well as those posted on our website. And like we have one question: can services provided legal services related to quarry sealing? Pauline, could you clarify a little bit what you're asking there?
Sure. So what I was asking is whether, in terms of things that are funded, could that include legal services to help somebody seal their criminal records if a legal services program were to partner with another lead agency? Got it.
Yeah. So we can't directly fund legal services through these resources. However, if you're part of your program includes a stipend that your clients are receiving for participation in your program, and you wanted to support them in terms of how they could best utilize that stipend to support outstanding issues that they may be working through, that's definitely something that could be discussed. And then, will DOC engage in work readiness prior to release? It's another question. So that's part of the program design. So that, and when we're talking about partnering with an HOC or a DOC and identifying a key personnel in that space, that would be a great element to discuss, to add into your program. And if you're partnering with the DOC that has a work readiness program in place, and you wanted to partner with them in kind of honing that into your specific industry of focus, that's definitely something that folks should discuss with their potential DOC partners. Could you post the names and contacts of the market makers? So Annie, yes, if you follow up, so folks that are interested in getting connected with the market makers, if you can follow up with me after this and sending me an email, we'll make sure that Teresa connects you with the right folks on that space. And then, is there any screening done on a candidate? So again, that's something that is also up to the discretion of the folks that are managing your partnership and running your program. So that kind of ties back to what I was saying earlier, is if you have a program where, say, your outcome is there a certain job that has really strict liability rules around they cannot hire anybody with an arson charge. You would want to make sure that part of your screening that you're doing when you're looking for your cohorts and you're looking for eligible folks to participate, you would want to make sure that you don't have anybody that has an arson charge, or you would want to find, and if you were going to work with folks that might have that charge, then you might want to look for a different potential landing spot in terms of an employer partner. But that screening is, again, at your discretion. So we've had programs in the past that have wanted to focus on veterans that are returning citizens. So part of their screening process was ensuring that the folks that they were looking to engage were veterans. We've had other folks that were going to be working with individuals that would be connected in some level to entities or programs that involve some level of childcare. And so they needed to make sure that they folks didn't have charges that would prevent them from working in that space. So it's kind of at your discretion as you're designing the program to figure out what kind of strategy will be best in terms of the screening you would like to provide to the potential applicants. Okay. So yeah, so again, please feel free with further questions to send an email. Like I said, we'll be posting this presentation to our website. We'll be posting the recording to the website, and answers to your questions will be posted every Friday, and additionally to being responded to you directly when you ask them. I think that is all. Yep. Good.
So we're getting some questions about folks wanting to get in touch with the market makers.
Yep. So if folks that are interested in getting in contact with market makers, if you can email me following this presentation, the email address listed, we'll make sure to get you all connected with your specific market maker in your specific community. Okay. All right, well, if there are no further questions, again, I really appreciate all of your time this morning, and we look forward to hopefully seeing some folks apply here, and we're really excited about this program and to be able to offer it at its intended 14-month length of time. So appreciate your time this morning, and again, if you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to Stacy or myself via email, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thanks, Zach and Teresa.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
No problem.